Thank you for joining us. As you can see, I'm again working from home, just like many others, in this very perplexing time in history of worldwide pandemic and economic crisis. And as I said before, hardships like these often bring out the best in us. But what makes this more difficult is not knowing what to do and how we can all responsibly do our best for our loved ones and ourselves. As the weeks go by, new discoveries, theories and treatments are coming to light and being openly disseminated by scientists and medical professionals. These are also very well documented on a new website created by Bill Faloon, the co-founder of Life Extension, who will update us on the latest news following these messages.
Life Extension magazine brings you new discoveries in health and anti-aging. Our science-based research and supplements are so advanced they're many years ahead of the medical mainstream, with quality control standards that exceed FDA mandates. Life Extension has covered groundbreaking medical research for more than 35 years. For your health and future, you deserve the best. Learn more at lifeextension.com.
We know that we're asking Americans to do a lot right now. So we're asking everyone to be selfless for others so that we can protect those who are most susceptible to this virus.
A question I often get asked is, why should young people care about the spread of coronavirus? Well, we know that people with underlying medical conditions over the age of 60 are at highest risk, but they've got to get it from somebody.
Social distancing is really physical separation of people.
It's what we refer to when we ask people to stay at least 6 feet apart.
Not going to bars, not going to restaurants, not going to theaters where there are a lot of people. It all just means physical separation so that you have a space between you and others who might actually be infected or infect you.
We all have a role to play in preventing person-to-person spread of this disease, which can be deadly for vulnerable groups. For more information on how you can social distance, please go to coronavirus.gov.
We are at FAU, and with us now is Bill Faloon. Bill, this is the strangest environment we've done an interview in all the, good Lord, 20 years I've known you.
Yeah, we got 4,800 empty seats. But thank goodness for cameras.
Absolutely. So, as we stand here at this strange time in history, give us an update on COVID.
Well, the encouraging news, and this is all considered preliminary, but it's so consistent, I'm just going to tell the world, and that is every observational study that they've done to evaluate levels of 25-hydroxy vitamin D in people's blood indicates that people who maintain sufficient or optimal ranges of 25-hydroxy vitamin D, their risk of contracting COVID is reduced and their risk of progressing to severe COVID illness and mortality dramatically reduced. And all it takes to maintain optimal levels are inexpensive vitamin D supplements. They're sold everywhere. It doesn't matter which one you buy, but you take about 5,000 IUs a day with a meal, and you're going to boost your 25-hydroxy vitamin D blood levels up to a range that people are seeing results. And we're waiting for the results of randomized controlled studies, so we'll know for sure if taking a vitamin D supplement works. But at this point, there's probably 50 or more studies in which doctors are observing the patients who come into the ER room with higher 25-hydroxy vitamin D levels, well, they're not progressing to the ICU. They're not dying at the rate that people who show up with very low levels. And other data is showing that people with higher levels of vitamin D, their risk of contracting COVID is dramatically reduced. So that's something that everyone can afford, and I wish the whole country would recognize that vitamin D is good for everything as far as reducing disease risk, but it also may help boost immune function and reduce the inflammation associated with COVID-19.
What else can people do, Bill?
Well, people are supplementing with vitamin C and zinc and anything they can do to boost their immune function, get a good night's sleep. All the different aspects of healthy immunity are what's going to save more people from contracting COVID or developing serious illness. So maintaining youthful immune function really important, and it's just beneficial to reduce cancer risk, reduce risk of influenza, and even the common cold.
What should people avoid?
Stress absolutely suppresses immune function. Sleeplessness, when you don't sleep well, right that very next day, you have impaired immunity just from one bad night of sleep. So whatever people can do to get better sleep, it's going to improve immunity. Nutrition, good nutrition as opposed to bad nutrition, that will slightly improve immunity. And then there are some aggressive therapies out there that doctors are implementing in which they're boosting immune function ahead of time before people contract COVID. And the idea is to reduce their risk of succumbing to that virus.
But so many people are suffering from anxiety and stress. What can people do to alleviate that?
Well, a Japanese technology involves extracting something from green tea called theanine. And the Japanese will actually chew theanine gum throughout the day just to relax. It has a very tranquilizing effect. Theanine is sold as a dietary supplement around the United States, and you take a 200 to 400 milligram capsule of that, and you can take an airplane trip and feel relaxed, no anxiety, go into an MRI machine for 45 minutes and have them do a magnetic resonance imaging scan and not feel impatient. It has a very nice tranquilizing effect, nothing like a benzodiazepine. It has a way of just relaxing the body in a way to at least reduce the feeling of anxiety.
I would think, one more time, let's just do that over. I would think that's essential. Where can one obtain L-theanine?
L-theanine, sold in health food stores around the country. Our Life Extension Group introduced it over 20 years ago to this country. At one point it was just the Japanese and a few other Asian countries using it. It's now accepted as something that you can buy over the counter and get the kind of benefits that the Japanese have been enjoying for many, many decades.
As we conclude, how do you see the future? When will this horrific pandemic end, do you think?
Well, unfortunately, viruses are very challenging to eradicate. You look at something like cytomegalovirus, which is part of the herpes virus family, and even with herpes, you realize you're not able to cure that. People infected with herpes 1, herpes 2, they sometimes have outbreaks more often than what they'd like. So we know that viruses are one of the bigger challenges. Now, a geneticist at Harvard named Dr. George Church, he predicts in about 5 years, he's going to be able to alter the human genome in vivo, that means in our bodies, in a way that we will be resistant to virtually every single virus. That may only be 5 years away. And I can't wait for cytomegalovirus, Epstein-Barr virus, these viruses that most people don't even know exist, but they cause cancer, they cause heart disease, they degenerate the brain. And you look at human papillomavirus. Wow, it's causing a lot of head and neck cancers. But if George Church's technology can eradicate all of these viruses, we're going to see people living a lot longer and a lot healthier. In the meantime, maintain healthy immune function to repress the viral activity in your body that is slowly creating a lot of problems.
Bill, thank you so very much. And this concludes our brief update from FAU here. I'm Richard Peritz. Thank you for being with us.
Regular days, I'm working on engineering viruses to create efficient and safe immunotherapies for cancer. I'm a synthetic biology. I was recruited to help find solutions for this viral outbreak of corona. We are developing together with the Biological Institute and Tel Aviv University a mouse model for corona. Currently, regular mice are not infected with the virus, and we are working on a very fast and reliable methodology that will enable actually any lab that wants to work on animal models for this virus to do that very, very easily. This is by creating a virus that would enable to infect any mouse with the corona. Our second project is to make a very, very simple computational and synthetic biology-based platform. Today, there is a major bottleneck in trying to test medicine for the virus, and it's the dependency on biosafety level 3 labs. Therefore, we have developed this very efficient and cost-effective platform that will enable to test in regular tissue culture in almost every lab to test about 1,000 molecules a day, and this will make the testing of cures for corona way, way, way faster and more efficient.
Normally, I study diabetes and cancer and diagnostics. Since the beginning of the corona pandemic, we've adapted the interdepartmental equipment unit of the Hebrew University Faculty of Medicine to serve as a center for corona testing. And essentially what we've done here is we created a center where by a sophisticated robotic equipment of the university, operated by graduate students and researchers at the university, are essentially carrying out the extraction of genetic material and the determination of presence of viral RNA in clinical samples and reporting back to the clinical virology lab. And this is at the capacity of about 1,000 corona tests per day. And hopefully with some research and development that we've carried out in the last few weeks, we'll be able to expand this capacity substantially.
On regular days, we study a process which is called RNA splicing. In this process, we generate different proteins from the same gene. This process is abrogated in diseases like cancer and some other rare diseases. And we also develop in our lab molecules that are targeting this process as therapies for cancer and other diseases. Because of the corona outbreaks, we develop molecules that will target the viral RNA. After the virus infects the lung cells, it inserts its genetic material, the RNA, into the cells and must replicate in the lung cells. Our molecules will bind the RNA molecules of the virus and will cause their degradation. Therefore, the virus cannot multiply and spread out in the lungs. So this is after people are already infected with the virus, they can get these drugs which will inhibit the viral replication. This will prevent the disease.
We have the pleasure of having some VIPs joining us from Israel right now. A privilege and an opportunity to have you join us here all the way in the United States from across the world in Israel. Joshua, please tell us a little bit about your company.
I'm the founder of the company, and it's happy and to stay near the Dr. Jason and Professor Aaron. It's my honor that I have such a kind of people working in the company, and it's a pleasure for me.
Gentlemen, I understand that Joshua had to leave, and I'd like you both to update us on new developments with regard to your technology.
So I think straight from the chemical lab, introduce Professor Garzon to discuss his latest developments.
Yes, of course. So we have a technology that is able to impart some nanoparticles inside the fabrics through a sonication treatment. And we have been developing lately formulations that are more prone to improve the impregnation yields. So we are lately working on the impregnation improvements. But the technology exists, and the product is already there.
Not only are people very anxious with regard to this horrific situation, but having a product like yours also would relax their anxieties to a large degree. People will feel more confident and have more hope about leaving their homes and going elsewhere if they know, hey, I have this mask all the way from the Holy Land, from Israel. I can feel a little more safe going out to the supermarket.
The main thing is that I'm really pleased to say that after some careful planning, we have attained FDA clearance for non-medical marketing of the SonoMask. This is a really big step in the right direction because as we are verified, we can now logistically sell to pharmacies and other businesses in America. And this is great news for the viewers of Shalom Show.
Professor, tell us briefly a little bit about the technology again. What's unique about the Sonovia product?
The unicity of this technology is that we are impregnating the fabrics with nanoparticles of specific size into high yields without any additional binders because the sonication technology has enough energy to impulse the particles inside the fibers, which a usual impregnation technology does not. So it is definitely more efficient, more ecologic, and can be applied widely to a lot of substances. And it's not just antibacterials, it may be antiviral, it may be flame retardant, it may be water repellent. So it's a wide applicable technology. So far we are more focused on the antibacterial, antiviral because of the events, but definitely we are enlarging this technology. It's a unique technology to make impregnation more efficient for textile or other substrates.
Very much so. And as we discussed last time, the more that people return to daily routine, it's better that they have this accessory that they can get back to daily life with.
This is all very interesting, and all of a sudden here in the United States I see quite a few products being advertised on television, but most of them are just disposable, causing even more environmental concerns really, and financial waste. I mean, you can buy a box of disposable masks that are thrown away, whereas your product, you could buy 3 per year and that's all you really need, because you can wash them 100 times, I understand.
Yes, exactly. That's a secondary effect of the technology. So it is more efficient and it is more permanent, long-lasting. Because of the technology, it makes that the nanoparticles are embedded strongly into the fabrics. And therefore, it is wash resistant and can be worked up and washed many times, definitely.
I think there needs to be more security for the general buyer in what kind of personal protective equipment they want. And given the choice, I think most people would rather have something they can wash and reuse rather than have to continually replace. And an Israeli product which has extensive lab testing behind it offers a really unique opportunity for the buyer in the general market. So I hope people will embrace and support the product from Israel.
Professor, I understand that your product is new here in this year, 2020, but you've already distributed hundreds of thousands of these masks to medical professionals in Israel and elsewhere. Tell us about that a little.
Well, if I'd like to step in for that one. So most recently, we've been working with outreach programs, looking in the community to help disabled people in the Jewish community. Kisharon recently received 100 of the Sono mask for the care workers so they can get back to their jobs in the UK, where they were hit particularly hard by the virus. So only now there are talks to have businesses and public places start to open up again. It's very different to how where we are privileged in Israel. And many months ago, we donated to a lot of the non-profits in Israel, as mentioned before. And at the moment, because the mask is non-medical grade, it's being worn over the N95 to provide an antiviral surface. And this is very important because when you think about a lot of the N95s, they are valved. And this valve, it's for making breathing out more effective. But the trouble with that is this area is not filtered. So potentially a medical worker could be infected and they wouldn't know that they were spreading potential contagions through this exhalation valve. And where the Sono mask comes in is it will provide a layer over the top, which is virucidal, as verified by our EU lab reports. And this is our way to start to introduce the product into the hospital environment. Later models will actually be made from an N99 filtration fabric. This will be released and we would love to share these updates with you when they become available.
I'd like to ask you when you're going to have this 99 mask available. What are the plans for the future?
Well, all I can share so far is that our CTO, Mrs. Liat Goldhammer, is currently outsourcing the best fabrics to design this mask from. And then it will be about where the production will take place. And we think it will be available on Amazon.
Well, hundreds of thousands of people, if not more, really are very anxious and would like to acquire your mask. What is your production capability with the current mask that you have?
So at the moment, the SonoMask, as you know, is 100% Israel made. And here production is very good, but it's not the fastest. So we average around 5,000 per day, but as international restrictions lift, we think we can shift production elsewhere and maybe scale up better, just so we can meet the demand for the general public. We'd love to produce everything in Israel, but the main concern is to support the public. So we'll go where we can meet, the demand.
Understood. Well, I don't really have any more questions with regard to production right now, and would just ask you, Professor, for your final thought on where we are today.
Well, we are making efforts in understanding the mechanism and the pathology of the virus and the ways of treating it. We are more focusing on protecting people, but avoiding contaminating others through the mask, through other garments. The mask is just one example. Of course, any garment can be applied and to avoid contamination and spread of the virus. As you know, vaccine is another possibility, and other pharmacological treatments. Hopefully, and I'm a pharmacist and I've been working for 4 years in pharmaceutical companies, so that's a concern for me. Hopefully, pretty soon we'll have some achievements in there too.
It so happens the Shalom Show's main sponsor is Life Extension. I think Jason has looked at their website, and they send out magazines to hundreds of thousands of members every month. And they have endless products, vitamins and others, and have been in the forefront of research. And the owner, Bill Faloon, has expressed interest in your mask, and I believe that just about every reader of the magazine would love to have a few. So I'm hoping that you can make that possible.
And I'd love to show the viewers again the SonoMask in higher resolution. So you can see here how it's nose conforming. It's very comfortable. It's a complete seal around the face, and it does up by straps at the back. So just so that the viewers can see again in high resolution. And it has our logo here. We want to help people get back to work. So the SonoMask will be customizable. So corporate places can actually have their logo on the mask instead. So we're hoping to help people have employment again.
I think that's a great idea, and I want to thank you both for being with us here today. Best regards to Joshua, and wishing us all the very, very best. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Richard.
Same to you. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Masks. Nowadays, everybody's using them as protection from the novel COVID-19 virus. In fact, here in Israel, you can even get fined if you're not wearing one in public. But how effective is the mask you're using? That's a question that can be hard to answer. Unless you're wearing a mask developed by the Israeli company Sonovia. They've developed a unique formula that can be used to treat fabric so that it literally fights off germs. Meaning wearing a mask that's made out of Sonovia's antiviral material can protect you from the coronavirus, along with other deadly bacteria and fungi.
Instead of just shielding you from the virus, this mask is going to kill the virus on contact. So if someone is exposed to the virus, the mask material will actually kill it. Or if they are infected with the virus, they won't be able to spread it to other people through breathing, because the viral particles will be destroyed.
You can use Sonovia zinc-coated cotton polyester masks over and over again, and tests show they're even effective after being washed 100 times. But what's most interesting is that Sonovia's germ-resistant formula can be used to treat all types of textiles.
All the textiles that has been used in the surroundings, starting from car seats in public transportation, everything that is made of textile can be treated and can prevent hospital-acquired infections and its effect on the users, on the humans around it.
The need for Sonovia's antiviral fabric solution goes beyond just coronavirus. Every year, 150,000 deaths are attributed to hospital-acquired infections, and 30% of patients in intensive care are affected by healthcare-associated infections as well. So, if medical professionals were to be equipped with Sonovia-protected gear, many lives could be saved. Right now, Sonovia has distributed tens of thousands of its masks to hospitals across Israel to help the doctors and nurses who are on the front line of the coronavirus outbreak. But billions of dangerous germs stick to our clothes when we're out in public, not just in medical centers, which is why Sonovia's masks are now available to the public and can be purchased on their website.
Life Extension magazine brings you new discoveries in health and anti-aging. Our science-based research and supplements are so advanced they're many years ahead of the medical mainstream, with quality control standards that exceed FDA mandates. Life Extension has covered groundbreaking medical research for more than 35 years. For your health and future, you deserve the best. Learn more at lifeextension.com.
Staying connected is easy thanks to the huge range of UHF radios from the team at Uniden. Built to withstand harsh Australian conditions and keep you connected no matter how far you want to go. From campsite to convoy, hiking to highways.
Jace, you got a copy, mate?
Uniden, keeping you connected.
I got a copy, mate. A copy.
For more information and to find your nearest stockers, head to Uniden, keeping you connected.
This brings us to the end of our special show for today on updates with regard to the pandemic crisis. I'm Richard Peritz. Thank you for being with us.